My name is Ben, and this is the first video in what might become a new series on board games. See, normally on this channel I make top 10 lists or I make videos comparing board games, and while I, conduct a lot of research playing games to make that content, most of the time I'm just hanging out with my friends playing games that people are interested in, whatever hits the table. And so I play a lot of games that don't fit in any of my other categories of videos. I thought maybe I would just share the stuff that I've played recently that I've really enjoyed. The first game that I played this month, or really I brought it home to play with my family at Christmas, is called Mind Management. And this is a game that's all about spies. There is a spy agency that has psychic abilities, and there is a evil agent from this agency who's moving through the city recruiting people for the agency, and then there are rogue agents who are trying to find the location of this recruiter. That whole premise is played out in a game. The primary mechanic is hidden movement. So one player has a screen and they are making private movements using a dry erase marker to mark a little mini map about where they are, and the other players are trying to track that person down. Probably the best thing about the game, though, is that it included in the game are a bunch of little mini expansions. The rulebook calls them a shift system. Basically, at the end of every game, whichever player has lost gets to open a little box. The content of that box is material for the second game to give that player an advantage. So every single game, players keep gaining more and more advantages, and the game gets more and more rich. I thought it was an excellent gameplay. Mind Management. The next game is a game we bought from Barnes & Noble with a gift certificate that I got for Christmas, and I bought it to play with my family, and it went over really well. The game is called Picture Perfect, and in Picture Perfect you have a little set to take a photograph. There we go. So it looks like that. And you have people that are little cardboard, stand-up cardboard pieces, and every person wants to be situated in the photograph with secret preferences. So their preferences are in cards that are inside of envelopes, and you as the photographer have a little set of envelopes. You open each one and you see what the preferences are, and you arrange people for the photograph. Then during the course of the game, players are trading envelopes with each other, or they're passing them, or there's some kind of mechanism to spread that information. Now, you will never get all of the information about every single guest. And there's a little bit of memory involved as well, because once you pass the envelope, you can't look at it again. But what you're trying to do is maximize points by satisfying as many criteria as possible. Thematically, I thought it was a great game, and really pretty simple to play too. Really fun components, and easy to play with any group of people. The next game is a two-player game. It's a little bit more abstract, but I think it has some excellent strategic tension. The game is Acrotiri. It's a small little box like this. And in the game, you have a map that is growing. And you're placing tiles to make the map bigger and bigger. And you have a ship that you're using to explore this map in order to go from island to island and collect resources, which you sell in order to find maps so that you can excavate temples. That's the whole idea. You're scoring points, or it's a race really, to excavate 6 temples first. This one is strategically very satisfying, but thematically a little bit dry. So if you're looking for a great two-player strategic game, you might really like it. If you want something that's a little bit more fun and it's not as exciting, I will say it's not as exciting thematically, but I really think there's a strategic element that can be really appreciated in this game, Acrotiri. The next game is a game I've been playing on Board Game Arena. It is brand new. The game is called Living Forest. And in Living Forest, you are a forest spirit that is trying to save the forest from a fire spirit that's spreading fires. And the reason I mention it is because I very recently listed a top 10 games for people who have played or enjoyed Dominion. And then even before that, top 5 games that are better than Everdell. If I could go back, I would probably add this game to either or both of those lists. It's essentially a deck builder game, so there's a lot of cards and there's card drafting in the game, but there are two other components. There is the forest, where you're planting trees and growing trees, and then there's a sort of like a track that you're racing with the other spirits and trying to advance on, and also putting out fires. So you've got two other things that you're trying to do. And also, instead of scoring the most victory points, the objective is to be the first to get 12 of one of three things. It's either flowers, or putting out 12 fires, or planting 12 trees. So scoring is very simple in this game. And one of the reasons why I really enjoyed it is also the components are very beautiful. Easy to play, easy to learn, a little bit more going on than a game as simple as Dominion, but also a very, very attractive game, kind of like in the spirit of Everdell. If you're into that, I think you should try Living Forest. And the last two games I played at the recommendation of my very good friend. The first game is something that he has been raving about for months. I finally went to go visit him in New York and we played it. It's called Imperial Steam. Imperial Steam is a great Euro game with a very well executed theme. In the game, you are developing railroad tracks in Austria, and in order to accomplish this, you are raising funds using investors. So there's a great investor track, and there are some excellent strategy and a lot of replayability in the map that you are spreading out across. So this is kind of a route building game. But one of the things that I find so interesting about this game, and one of the reasons why you might want to play it, is there is an excellent planning aspect. Every round of the game, you can get really engrossed in planning out your moves and kind of budgeting out your resources and each move you want to do. This game, you can always modify it. There's flexibility to change your plan during the course of the round. So I like the flexibility, but I get engrossed in the planning. This is a very deeply strategic game. Not a game to play with kids, definitely a game to play with other adults. And very intuitive, actually. That's the other thing about the game. I was surprised by how much the game just made sense to me. I understood what I needed to do in order to win. And then the last game does an excellent job of embodying its theme. The game is called Freshwater Fly, and it's all about fishing. The way the game is played and what might really bring you into the game is it's a dice drafting game. A pool of dice is rolled, and then players take turns picking the dice, which is going to help them either to cast their line or to reel in a fish. So in the game, you have a river, and there are cards laid out in the river that represent the fish, and you have several objectives that are going to be scored at the end of the game. And what you have to do is pick a die to select where in the river you cast your line. Then you find out what fish gets caught on your line, and you have to reel it in. And in reeling in the fish, you cast another die in order to turn the reel, and where the reel lands can have different effects. But what I like is when you have a poor die roll, you can use that die roll to develop your finesse. And so your finesse is your technique. And as you become a better and better fisherman during the course of the game, thematically, I think it kind of represents you're learning about the river and where the fish are and getting a little bit better. You have stronger moves that can help you be more effective. And so I thought thematically that the whole luck mitigation element with casting dice and using low valued die to develop finesse was really well executed in this game. It's not very complex. It can be played in less than an hour, which I really enjoyed, and it's very satisfying. So mid-level game, excellent game for anybody who's interested in fishing. That's it. So that's what I played in January. Again, if you like this video, let me know by hitting the like button, and I'll probably release another video in February telling you what else is up. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.